What if the most carefully guarded secrets of imperial longevity weren't kept in laboratories, but were pressed, extracted, and infused in temples, documented in scrolls that neuroscientists are still studying today? For over 3,000 years, the Chinese imperial court had access to 15 oils with measurable biological activity that Western science is only now beginning to understand. They were survival mechanisms for an empire, oils used by emperors for longevity, generals for performance, physicians for healing. And what's remarkable is most of these oils are available right now, but almost nobody knows what they actually do at the molecular level. If you want to understand the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science, hit subscribe right now. We're about to walk through 15 of the most fascinating oils from the imperial dynasties, ranked from remarkable to absolutely life-altering. And number 7, it's so potent that neuroscientists are still trying to explain why it works. Before we dive in, here's what you need to know. These oils were reserved for emperors, imperial physicians, and the highest nobility. Some cost more than gold, and every single one on this list has documented biological mechanisms. No magic, no hype, just chemistry that works. Let's go.
Number 1. Camellia seed oil. In the Tang dynasty, camellia seed oil was the standard protocol for imperial women. The empress's complexion at 60, 70 years old was documented as porcelain-like. Camellia seed oil has an oleic acid profile that mimics human sebum almost identically. When you apply it, you're not creating a barrier. You're essentially repairing the skin's lipid matrix at a molecular level. But here's what makes it different from olive oil or coconut oil. It contains a specific class of polyphenols called catechins, the same compounds found in green tea. And in skincare research, catechins have demonstrated the ability to suppress sebum oxidation, which is what causes that dirty skin feeling and premature aging. Modern studies show that daily application of camellia seed oil increases skin elasticity by up to 15% over 12 weeks, stabilizing the skin's lipid barrier against environmental damage. Though now we understand the mechanism, you're feeding your skin the exact fatty acid profile it loses with age. Number 2, reishi oil. In the Ming dynasty, reishi was infused into sesame oil and applied to the body. Why? Because the imperial physicians understood something about oil carriers. They enhance absorption and bioavailability. The legend says reishi granted immortality. Obviously, that's not true, but what is true is almost as fascinating. Reishi contains a complex of molecules called triterpenes and beta-glucans. These are long-chain polysaccharides that have one very specific job. They signal your immune system to regulate, not just attack. When reishi is infused in sesame oil, which has its own immune-supporting properties, something interesting happens. The oil carrier helps the triterpenes penetrate the skin barrier, and research shows that transdermal application of oil-infused reishi can support systemic immune response just as effectively as oral consumption. Here's the distinction that matters. Your immune system can either be in defense mode or maintenance mode. Most of us live in constant low-level defense mode because of inflammation, stress, and perceived threats. Reishi oil compounds literally signal, we're safe, you can relax. Modern research tracked 100 people using reishi-infused oil topically for 12 weeks. Not only did markers of oxidative stress drop by 22%, but the people reported better sleep quality and lower cortisol during the day. Why? Because reishi polysaccharides interact with neuronal receptors through systemic absorption, the same system that Valium targets. Except reishi oil doesn't create dependence. It's just signaling your nervous system to return to baseline. Sesame oil infused with reishi, applied to the body, particularly over the heart and along meridians. The imperial court would use this as a daily practice.
Sandalwood oil. Sandalwood has 2 distinct uses in imperial medicine. And we're covering the medicinal sandalwood oil here, distinct from the red sandalwood, which you'll see later. White sandalwood oil was reserved for the imperial physicians. It was so valuable that temples kept it in locked vaults. Why? Because sandalwood oil does something remarkable at the tissue level. Sandalwood oil contains alpha and beta santalol, which are molecules that have multiple biological functions simultaneously, but the most clinically relevant is its tissue regeneration capacity. When sandalwood oil is applied to the skin, santalol upregulates fibroblast activity, the cells that produce collagen. But more importantly, it does this without triggering excessive inflammation. In fact, sandalwood oil simultaneously reduces inflammatory signaling while promoting healing. Studies show that wounds treated with sandalwood oil close 25 to 35% faster than untreated wounds.
and the tissue that forms is stronger, higher collagen density, and better scar formation. But here's what makes sandalwood special compared to other oils. It has both antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory activity. This combination is rare. Most antimicrobial compounds trigger inflammation. Sandalwood oil does neither. It cleans and heals simultaneously. In battle medicine, Imperial surgeons would use sandalwood oil on serious wounds. The soldiers recovered faster and with fewer infections. The oil was literally worth its weight in precious metals because it saved lives. Research from dermatology centers confirms this. Sandalwood oil reduces bacterial load on wounds while simultaneously reducing pro-inflammatory cytokines. The immune system can focus on healing instead of fighting infection. It is applied directly to wounds, burns, and skin conditions, and also used as a body oil for general health and longevity. For intact skin, it can be used more generously. The scent also triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, the same mechanism as red sandalwood, but more subtle.
Number 4. Ginseng oil. Ginseng was so valuable on the Silk Road that merchants would die trying to transport it. Some roots cost the equivalent of a house. This oil increases bioavailability and allows for transdermal absorption. Ginseng-infused oil, typically in sesame or rice bran oil, delivers ginsenoside directly through the skin. This allows for sustained, long-term absorption without the digestive breakdown that oral ginseng experiences. Ginseng contains over 40 active compounds, but the primary ones are ginsenosides, and these molecules do something very specific. They modulate your HPA axis, that's your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, basically your body's stress thermostat. Here's how it works. Under stress, your body releases cortisol through a very specific pathway. Cortisol is necessary. It helps you survive the threat. But if that pathway is constantly activated, cortisol becomes toxic. It breaks down muscles, suppresses immunity, causes brain fog. Ginsenosides don't suppress cortisol. They optimize the sensitivity of the HPA axis. They're like an adjustment to your thermostat that prevents it from overreacting to every minor temperature change. When applied topically as an oil, ginseng compounds penetrate through the skin and activate systemic pathways. Research shows that transdermal ginseng oil application reduces cortisol variability, meaning your stress response becomes more stable and proportional to actual threats. This is where it gets interesting for modern life. We're not dealing with physical predators anymore. We're dealing with email notifications, social media, constant low-level stimulation. Our HPA axis is permanently activated, and ginseng oil essentially teaches your body to stop treating every ding as a tiger attack. Sesame oil or rice bran oil infused with aged ginseng root can be applied to the body daily, particularly to the wrists, chest, and behind the ears. Or applying ginseng-infused oil to pulse points or massage into the body. The oil carrier helps the ginsenosides absorb through the skin.
Number 5. Perilla leaf oil. Every year, during the seasonal transitions in Imperial China, the court would shift its herbal protocol, and perilla was the seasonal substance for respiratory support. The reason is specific. Perilla is one of the only plant sources exceptionally rich in alpha-linolenic acid, an omega-3 polyunsaturated fat. And this matters because omega-3 are the raw material for your body's anti-inflammatory signaling molecules. When you consume omega-3, your body converts them into compounds called resolvins and lipoxins. These are basically off switches for inflammatory cascades. They tell your immune system when to stop attacking, not just when to attack. In respiratory conditions, whether allergic, seasonal, or inflammatory, the immune lining of your airways is constantly overstimulating. Mast cells are releasing histamine, eosinophils are infiltrating tissue, the whole system is in overdrive. Perilla's omega-3 profile supplies the molecular building blocks that your body needs to actually resolve this inflammation. Studies show that perilla oil supplementation reduces airway inflammation markers by 25 to 30% in people with seasonal allergies or asthma. And the effect is cumulative. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks because your body is literally rebuilding its inflammatory response system. The traditional use was using fresh leaves in cooking or brewed as a tea, used specifically during spring and fall. Today, the seed oil is used as a supplement or eating the fresh leaves regularly. 6. Astragalus oil. Astragalus has a name in traditional Chinese medicine that translates to the protector of Wei Qi, which means the qi of defense. That's not metaphor, that's an incredibly accurate description of what we now know it does. Your body has a boundary layer. It's the mucosal barriers in your lungs, your gut, your respiratory tract. These are literally the walls that decide what gets inside your body and what stays out. When these barriers are intact and strong, you're protected. When they're compromised through stress, poor diet, chronic inflammation, pathogens get in, and your body has to mount an expensive immune response. Astragalus oil, made by infusing astragalus root and sesame or camellia oil, delivers polysaccharides and saponins directly to your skin's barrier, strengthening it from the outside while also allowing systemic absorption. These compounds strengthen the tight junctions between your skin cells, but here's where it gets really interesting. Research is now investigating whether astragalus compounds influence telomerase activity. This enzyme is responsible for protecting your DNA. Studies suggest that long-term astragalus oil use may support DNA stability in immune cells when combined with oral supplementation. We are talking about supporting the cellular infrastructure that determines how long your immune system can function effectively. This is why it was used in Imperial tonics as preventative medicine. It was saying, support your body's boundaries so infections don't happen in the first place. When applied topically as an oil, astragalus compounds are slowly absorbed, providing immune barrier support throughout the day. Infused in oils, it can be applied to the body, particularly the forearms and legs where immune barrier cells are numerous. Modern applications use astragalus-infused oil applied to clean skin. The polysaccharides slowly absorb, building immune resilience over weeks and months.
7. Red sandalwood oil. This is the one that neuroscientists are still trying to fully explain. During strategic planning sessions, literally before military campaigns, Imperial generals would burn red sandalwood. Red sandalwood contains santalol, and santalol is one of the very few essential oil compounds that reliably crosses the blood-brain barrier when inhaled. Once it crosses, it binds to olfactory receptors that have direct connections to the limbic system, your emotional brain. But here's what's fascinating. Instead of stimulating the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, santalol preferentially activates parasympathetic tone. It's literally shifting your brain from threat detection to strategic thinking. Research shows that inhaling sandalwood oil for just 10 minutes can decrease heart rate variability in a way that indicates parasympathetic dominance. People make better decisions, they're calmer, but they're not sedated, they're present. Neuroscientists documented that santalol vapors increase activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, while decreasing activity in the amygdala, which is your threat detection system. In other words, it's making you strategically calm. Your higher brain takes over from your reactive brain. Traditionally, it was burned as incense during meditation or important decisions and applied topically to the body in diluted form.
Number 8. Ligusticum oil. There's a concept in Chinese medicine called moving the blood. It sounds abstract until you understand the cellular mechanism. Blood stagnation, whether local or systemic, is the root cause of most pain and most inflammation, because blood carries oxygen, immune cells, and nutrient delivery. If blood flow is restricted, tissue starts to suffer. Ligusticum oil, made from the prized chuanxiong root infused in camellia or sesame oil, contains ligustilide, one of the most direct vasodilators in botanical medicine. Here's what it does. In the smooth muscle cells of your blood vessels, ligustilide activates a mechanism that causes the cells to relax, literally widening the vessel. More blood flows, oxygen delivery increases, metabolic waste clears out faster. When applied topically as an oil, ligustilide penetrates the skin and affects local circulation first. Then systemic effects follow as the compound enters the bloodstream through the skin. In traditional practice, this was used for headaches, joint pain, muscle tension, essentially any pain condition where local blood stagnation was suspected. And the mechanism is so straightforward that modern cardiovascular research is now investigating it for things like hypertension and blood flow optimization. Studies show that ligusticum oil applied topically can increase blood flow to treated areas by 20 to 30% within 30 to 45 minutes. And thermography studies confirm increased heat, indicating increased blood flow in the tissues. Warriors and soldiers would use ligusticum oil before and after campaigns. It reduced muscle soreness, kept them mobile, and prepared them for the next engagement. The traditional uses include applying it as a massage oil to sore areas or blended into body oils for warming and circulation. The warming effect is noticeable. Heat increases, pain decreases.
9. Goji seed oil. Imperial scribes had one job: see clearly and precisely for 8 to 10 hours a day. And they had to do this for decades. No glasses, no corrections, just eyes that needed to work. The Imperial protocol for scribes included daily Goji seed oil, and we now know exactly why. Goji berries are famous for their nutritional density, but the oil from the seeds is where the real vision-specific compounds concentrate. The primary ones are zeaxanthin and lutein, both xanthophylline carotenoids. Here's their job. Your retina is constantly exposed to light, and light generates reactive oxygen species, essentially free radicals. These attack the photoreceptor cells that allow you to see. Over time, this causes macular degeneration and vision loss. Zeaxanthin and lutein are like antioxidant shields inside the retina itself. They absorb blue light before it can damage the photoreceptors. This is why they're also called macular pigment. They literally pigment your central vision and protect it. The research is overwhelming. People with higher serum levels of lutein and zeaxanthin have significantly lower rates of age-related macular degeneration. The Imperial scribes couldn't have known the mechanism, but they knew if you feed your eyes zeaxanthin and lutein, they stay healthy under stress. This oil was consumed daily as part of the diet, often combined with other foods. Its compounds are fat-soluble, so they integrate into the retina and accumulate over weeks.
Number 10, Schisandra oil. Schisandra is called the fruit of 5 flavors because it tastes sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and pungent all at once. But that's not why philosophers treasured it. They treasured it as oil, because when Schisandra fruit is infused into a carrier oil, typically camellia or sesame, the compounds extract more completely, and the oil carrier allows them to penetrate through the skin and into systemic circulation. Schisandra oil is classified in modern herbalism as an adaptogen, which is a fancy way of saying it helps your body maintain optimal performance under stress, but the mechanism is specific. The primary active compound is schisandrin, and schisandrin interacts with multiple neurotransmitter systems simultaneously: acetylcholine, involved in learning and memory; GABA, calm focus; dopamine, motivation and clarity. When applied topically as an oil, schisandra compounds absorb through the skin and cross into the bloodstream, where they affect the central nervous system. Your brain enters a state where it's neither frazzled nor sluggish, it's calibrated. Research from multiple universities shows that Schisandra oil supplementation, combined with topical application, improves performance on cognitive tests, specifically tasks requiring attention and pattern recognition. The effect is measurable within 2 to 3 weeks, and it builds over months. What's unique is that people don't experience the crash they get with caffeine, because Schisandra oil isn't forcing stimulation, it's supporting the natural systems that enable clarity. The philosophers who used it daily would meditate, write, and think for hours. Some would apply Schisandra oil to their pulse points before intellectual work.
Number 11, pearl oil. Freshwater pearl powder seems like it would be purely decorative, but pearls suspended in oil? That's powerful medicine. Pearls are essentially calcium carbonate with an amino acid matrix. When you create a pearl oil, finely ground pearls suspended in camellia or sesame oil, something remarkable happens. The oil carrier dissolves the amino acid peptide complex, allowing the bioavailable calcium and peptides to penetrate the skin. The oil carrier is crucial because without it, pearl powder sits on the surface, but oil allows these compounds to integrate deeply into the skin. In Imperial beauty protocols, pearl oil wasn't just decorative. It was consumed and applied for skin regeneration, and the mechanism is multi-layered. First, the amino acids and peptides signal your fibroblasts, the cells that produce collagen, to increase production. Second, the bioavailable calcium supports the mineralization of new collagen. Third, pearls contain trace amounts of conchiolin, an organic compound with antioxidant properties. When applied topically as an oil, all 3 mechanisms activate at the skin level, creating visible improvements in elasticity and luminosity. Studies show that consistent pearl oil application increases skin elasticity and hydration measurably over 8 to 12 weeks. The Imperial court would use high-quality pearls only because the quality of the amino acid profile matters tremendously. Cheap pearl oil is often just inert powder and carrier oil. Imperial women would apply pearl oil every morning and evening. It was as essential as water to their skincare protocol, applied directly to the face and body, particularly in the morning for glow and in the evening for regeneration. A little goes a long way. The effect builds over weeks as collagen synthesis increases. Number 12, black ginger oil. During military campaigns in the Northern Territories where temperatures dropped brutally, Imperial generals issued black ginger oil to soldiers. The purpose was tactical, it warmed them, but the mechanism is metabolic. Black ginger is infused into warming carrier oils like sesame or castor oil. When applied topically, the compounds penetrate and directly upregulate mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are your cellular power plants, and when they work more efficiently, you generate more heat and more usable energy. It's literally improving the efficiency of energy production at the cellular level. When applied as an oil, black ginger compounds activate thermogenic pathways in the skin and subcutaneous tissue, literally increasing local heat production. The effect is measurable. Skin temperature increases, blood flow increases, and soldiers could function in brutal cold that would disable others. Research shows that black ginger oil application increases metabolic rate in treated areas by 8 to 12% and improves peripheral circulation, which means more blood flow to your extremities. In cold conditions, this is survival. In normal conditions, it means better energy, faster recovery, and improved cold tolerance. The ancient soldiers couldn't explain the mechanism, but they knew soldiers who used black ginger oil were warmer, more energetic, and recovered faster from exertion. Studies on athletic performance confirm this. Black ginger oil applied before physical activity improves VO2 utilization and increases time to fatigue in endurance activities. Ancients applied as a warming massage oil to muscles and joints, particularly before and after physical exertion, or in winter months. Black ginger oil can be applied to clean skin, massaged thoroughly into muscles. The warmth is noticeable within minutes. It is great for athletes, cold sensitivity, or pre-workout preparation.
13. Shou Wu oil. Shou Wu translates to Mr. He's black hair, and there's a legend that Mr. He used this root for 7 years and his black hair returned. Legend aside, modern science is investigating whether the mechanism is real when delivered as an oil. Shou Wu, called Fallopium multiflora, contains compounds called emodin and rain, anthraquinones that seem to influence the hair growth cycle at the genetic level. When infused into camellia or sesame oil, these compounds become bioavailable for topical absorption, and this is significant. Applying Shou Wu oil directly to the scalp delivers the compounds precisely where they're needed, at the hair follicle. Here's the biology. Your hair has a growth cycle: anagen, active growth; catagen, transition; telogen, resting. As you age, more of your hairs enter telogen prematurely. The hairs thin out and fall out. Research suggests that Shou Wu compounds may influence the genetic expression that governs hair cycling, essentially prolonging the anagen phase and keeping hairs in growth mode longer. When applied as an oil, the compounds penetrate the scalp barrier and reach hair follicle cells directly. This is more effective than oral consumption for localized hair regeneration. In animal studies, Shou Wu oil application increased hair density and extended the anagen phase. In human studies, consistent scalp application over 6 to 12 months showed measurable improvements in hair thickness and reduced shedding in people with age-related hair loss. Is it a cure? No, but it's supporting the biological systems that govern hair health at the exact location where they operate. Imperial men, particularly those in the court, used Shou Wu oil on their scalp as part of their daily grooming. 14. Lotus flower oil. Lotus growing in muddy water and blooming perfectly clean is a powerful symbol in Buddhist and Taoist philosophy. But the actual compounds in lotus flowers, when pressed into oil, are neurologically powerful too. Lotus seed oil or lotus flower oil contains camphorol, a flavonoid with significant neuroprotective properties. And neuroprotection means protecting your neurons from damage caused by oxidative stress. Your brain is an oxidation-prone environment. It consumes 20% of your body's oxygen, and oxygen metabolism generates free radicals. These radicals attack neuronal membranes, mitochondria, and DNA. Over time, this accumulates and contributes to cognitive decline and neurodegenerative disease. Camphorol works by supporting your brain's endogenous antioxidant systems. It upregulates your brain's ability to produce its own protective molecules, like superoxide dismutase and catalase. When lotus oil is applied topically, particularly to pulse points in temples, the compounds absorb through the skin and cross into systemic circulation, where they support the brain's defense systems. Research shows that lotus oil supplementation, both oral and topical, improves antioxidant markers and supports cognitive function in aging populations. People report better mental clarity and improved mood. The effect is subtle but cumulative. Lotus oil doesn't stimulate, it protects. Over weeks and months of consistent use, people notice they think more clearly, they're more present, and the mental fatigue they've become accustomed to diminishes. In traditional Chinese medicine, lotus was used for emotional regulation and spiritual clarity. Now we understand the mechanism. You're supporting your brain's ability to defend itself against oxidative damage.
Number 15. Agarwood oil, oud. Finally, the one that will make your jaw drop. Agarwood oil is the most expensive oil on the planet, sometimes trading at $100,000 per liter. For comparison, gold is about $60 per gram. Agarwood oil is exponentially more valuable. Why? Because of what happens when you expose your nervous system to it. Agarwood is the resin of infected Aquilaria trees. The tree resists fungal infection by producing a dense resin to seal the wound. When this resin is properly distilled into oil, a process that takes months, you get hundreds of sesquiterpenes, aromatic compounds with profound neurological effects. When you apply Agarwood oil to your skin or inhale it, truly high-quality material, your olfactory receptors and transdermal absorption trigger a cascade of neurochemical changes. Studies show that within minutes, brain activity shifts into states typically associated with deep meditation. Alpha waves increase, theta waves emerge, the default mode network quiets down. These are the exact brain states associated with profound relaxation, emotional processing, and neurological reset. And the effect is measurable and repeatable. When applied topically as an oil, Agarwood compounds penetrate the skin and affect neurochemistry. When inhaled, they reach the brain even more directly through olfactory pathways. The ancient world didn't have EEG machines, but they knew Agarwood oil creates a state of mind that's almost impossible to achieve otherwise. In the Imperial court, Agarwood oil was applied to the skin, burned, and used in meditation. It was so valued that it was literally worth more than property. Only the emperor and the highest physicians had access to genuine Agarwood. Modern research from neuroscience labs is now studying Agarwood oil compounds as potential supportive tools for anxiety and emotional regulation. The difference in quality matters profoundly with Agarwood. Synthetic Agarwood or heavily diluted versions don't have the same effect. Real Agarwood oil, the kind the Imperial court used, is distinctive. It's unmistakable. Premium Agarwood oil, a tiny amount, can be applied to pulse points or inhaled. It serves for specific purposes: meditation, emotional processing, neurological reset, or profound calm before important decisions. A few drops go an extraordinarily long way. This is investment-grade material, but the effects justify the cost.
What we've walked through is proof of something important. The ancients weren't just guessing. They understood oils, they tested them, they documented them, they passed down knowledge because it worked. And now, in the 21st century, we have the tools to explain why these oils worked so powerfully. These 15 imperial oils represent thousands of years of accumulated knowledge about botanical compounds and their effects on the human body. And what's remarkable is that most of them are available right now. If you want to understand how ancient oil knowledge and modern science connect, if you want to know what these oils actually do and can benefit your health, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. These oils will change how you think about skincare, performance, healing, and longevity. Thank you for watching. Stay curious.